welcome to a conversation with Joey Tempest. I'm your host, Eric Miller. This is part of the Pods and Sods Network. I want to thank you, first off, as always, for clicking the download button or the subscribe button or whatever combination of buttons you've clicked in order to find this episode. It's always appreciated. Boy, I've been a Europe fan since I was a kid, 86, the Final Countdown. I used to draw their logo on my folders in school and all that good stuff. Huge fan. Especially the middle years, and lately after they've reunited, their records have gotten heavier and just more proggy and just fantastic stuff. So it was a real treat to chat with Joey Tempest about his career. You know, we get into his early days, you know, obviously the height in the States with Final Countdown, Out of This World, that kind of thing, and Paradise, Prisoners in Paradise. I get into all kinds of stuff with him about that, and I ask him specifically about the kind of reuniting with John Norum for the We Will Be Strong song, because I friggin' love that song, and obviously a lot on their current and new album, Walk the Earth, which is fantastic, just solid record. So yeah, a real thrill to chat with Joey. So hopefully you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed recording it. My conversation with Joey Tempest. Gives me great pleasure to welcome Mr. Joey Tempest. Welcome, Joey.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going?
It's going well, man. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I'm a huge fan of the band, have been since junior high school in my life's timeline. Used to draw your logo on my.
Well, thank you.
Used to draw your logo on all my books and the whole thing. Yeah, so real treats.
All right. Okay, cool.
The thing I always ask people, I kind of go back to the beginning. Obviously, your new record is Walk the Earth, and it's really fantastic. But kind of going back to the beginning, you know, I've heard you tell stories about, you know, Thin Lizzy and Deep Purple, Whitesnake, etc. But maybe even before that, like, how did you, like, what were your parents listening to? How did you first get an ear, or maybe even pick up an instrument?
Well, it was, I knew I was interested in music because when I heard it on the radio or TV, I wanted to record it with my small little tape recorder. This was very, very early days. But I think my interest started with hearing David Bowie and Elton John and artists like that on the radio. My sister's 4 years older, so she had, my parents gave us a stand-up piano and a guitar. She didn't it didn't catch on so well with her, but to my parents' surprise, I started sitting with guitar and piano before and after school, just out of interest. So it was clear that I was just interested in playing and learning and trying to emulate what I heard on radio and stuff. And this was before I was 10. So, and at school, I started realizing that I gravitated towards like-minded people, and I started my first band when I was 10, 11. You know, kind of not serious bands, but it was still, you know, kind of with a vision of having maybe a show or something. So yeah, it was, but those early days, it was more David Bowie, Motley Hoople, and bands like that. But it soon changed when I got into teenage years to Deep Purple and Thin Lizzy and Led Zeppelin. And as soon as I met John Norum as well, I was 15 meeting John Norum. Before that, I've been in several bands and started to write music for these bands. So I was interested in writing, and that was my thing. I played bass guitar in my first band, probably because no one else wanted to play bass. I didn't, you know, it was just happened that way. And then I started playing bass and sing, and then I dropped the bass, so I sang and started singing in bands.
Right.
So that's how it started. And then once I met John Norum, the vision got stronger because it's such an amazing talent, and I felt like the vision got twice as strong, and I had him on board, and then we formed the band Force and started writing our own stuff, and started playing concerts and sending demos to record labels. I turned us down because it was probably a bit too early with our vision there, in Sweden anyway.
Right.
It had started, I mean, in the US and in the UK with Iron Maiden and Def Leppard and stuff like that, but in Sweden they were kind of looking a bit strangely at us, you know, long hair, playing, you know, this kind of rock and singing in English. And So yeah, that was it. And in '83 we recorded our first album.
Nice. Yeah, I want to ask about those first two albums. Really, before you get to Final Countdown, those first two albums are more. Maybe it's a production thing, but those two are more rock and sort of can align more with what the body of your career ultimately sounds like. You know, Final Countdown and Out of This World obviously were huge records, but you know, they were a bit more keyboard oriented and maybe Out of This World a little bit more so than what I would kind of consider like a true Europe sound, if that makes any sense to you.
Now that we have a big catalog to look at, it's an interesting observation. The third album, even on Wings of Tomorrow, they're more progressive and more naked and raw, I think. And Kevin Allison brought in a different sound to the band. He did a great job, but I was also, as a writer, starting to get interested in keyboards a little bit. So we started using it live sometimes, and we felt like with one guitar player, it created a nice atmosphere, and it complement the organ and the keyboards and stuff. So I think Final Countdown, looking at it now, was that album that we experimented a little bit more with keyboards as writers, and as a tool. The keyboard became a tool for writing. That's on the song Final Countdown. It was a tool for writing it. And yeah, if you look at the big volume now, those two albums are not. I don't think they are truly what the band, like you said, the beginning and the end, and what we're doing now. The last three albums we're really proud of those, and it feels like we're finding a natural way of expressing ourselves. There's nothing. It just happens quickly. It's done organically, and but it was just at times we were a young team at 20. We were in our 20s recording our third album with a big producer with the biggest rec company in the world in CBS in New York, and we were obviously influenced by. We loved some of Kevin Nelson's work, and he was such a cool guy. So we trusted him in doing the production, and we were on our way. And our third album, and the songwriting getting more precise, perhaps. I don't know the right word for it, but this is the journey we were on then.
Yeah, it's funny because I was a fan through all of that, and I love the Out of This World record, but I like Prisoners in Paradise more because it has more teeth, right? Like Out of This World does sound like the edges are a little, sanded down a little bit too much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, Out of This World was recording in Olympic in London, and with Ron Nevison, he did a great job. I mean, he's great on vocals and guitars and things like that. Yeah. I think partly it was recorded on digital equipment, and in those days we were still sort of learning about all that stuff. And it's a great album, Out of This World, and it was just part of our journey. It was great to work with everyone in London and doing that record.
Awesome.
But Prisoners, then we went to LA, and we got a little bit influenced by living there too long, I think. But Prisoners was kind of a bit edgier, I suppose, and Bohemian was a great producer as well. So all that was just a learning journey for us. It was amazing to work with these big producers and having a great time, actually.
I brave the heat of the wild.
2000, 2004, we just made a conscious decision. We're going to choose, there's no label that's going to choose producers first. We're going to choose everything. We're going to make all the decisions. We're actually going to own our own music. So we've owned everything from then, and we license it out, and all the decisions are ours, and we go on a musical journey. It's all decided by the 5 members of the band, and maybe that's why it's been working longevity, because we just on this adventure, you know.
Yeah, and it's always felt sincere. I've enjoyed every step of the way as a fan.
Thank you.
I do want to ask about Prisoners in Paradise in terms of the time, because like I said, I think it's a fantastic album. Some really great songs on there. You were on, I guess it was Epic at the time, and I think it came out.
Yeah, we're still on Epic. It was the last album on Epic.
Okay.
There was Pearl Jam records on the desk. I remember when I walked up, and we were going to release Prisoners album. Yeah.
So that was actually going to be my question. I think 10 came out about a month after Prisoners in Paradise.
It was. I think it was on the same label, and I remember going into the office, and I've been there so many times over the years, and I walked in, and it was a different vibe there, and I could see the Pearl Jam was quite a priority, and I could see that there was new staff, and they were looking at Seattle, and it was a big change in those big labels,
Right. Yeah. And then obviously you had your solo career, and that's fantastic. The sort of singer-songwriter years, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
There's a song in there that always jumped out at me, and it's when you reconnected with John Norum for "We Will Be Strong." Can you tell me how that came together?
Oh yeah, he was working with Win Davis, I think, in LA, working on this record. We always used to call each other, and sometimes I went to LA and I had some other things to do there, and he invited me to the studio, and he played me these songs, and I said, and I heard "We Will Be Strong," and I thought, hey, that's a cool song, John. What's going on here? Yeah, it's a song I've been working on. Maybe you could sing with me on that one. So it was not really. It wasn't something that was really planned. It was more like it was great to see him, and we were just hanging out and together, and I just ended up singing on it basically, and I left LA, so I didn't do much more on the track. I usually don't really sing on tracks I don't write, so it was kind of a different thing for me. But it was for John, and we've always been like brothers, and it was great to be able to do something with him.
Yeah. And I think from a fan from this side of the stage, it was it seemed like a first step of a potential reunion, right?
Yeah, it probably was actually, because we started talking more and more, and we realized that we just brothers in music and private too. We started the band Force together. We became Europe, and then at one point around found out that we stopped talking. Really, we talked to the tour manager. And he was probably unhappy about certain things. I was happy about certain things, but we just let it grow, and we never talked about it. And that's what we learn now these days. If anybody in the band has anything that worries them or is something that feels wrong, we try to get it out as soon as possible and talk about it, because then we can leave it. And because we're so lucky now to be this gang of people that know each other and have this job, so we try to take care of that and not let the egos take over these situations.
You know that we belong together we'll be strong. You know that we belong together we'll be strong. Oh, is it true? It's down to me and you. I've been thinking about the
When you do ultimately sort of reconnect in 2003, you've kind of already suggested that you made a decision to be more open. It seems like you made a decision to be more on top of your business. Did you? Was that just like an older, wiser? How did the approach change for you guys in 2003?
We learned a lot, I think. In the years, the years we had a break as well. I think we learned about the business as well. And when we came back, we just thought, let's do this long term on our terms and let's own our music, because that was something I was very adamant that we need to do, because I realized what happened in the 80s, that this big labels, they own masters and they won't let them go. That's not going to happen. These lawyers are too, the air, it was tight. It's hard to get anything like that negotiated. So publishing, on the other hand, is another thing. I've always been fighting for that vigorously ever back then. But owning the masters was very important for us when we started again. And then license the records out for 6-7 years or something, and then you get them back, and then you have 100% on it, and you can release your own best ofs, and all that was very important. And also to create and choose our own producers, engineers, studios, artwork, everything. And we just went on this journey and had a lot of fun with it, and sniffing out the best people to work with in the business if we could.
That's awesome, and what a luxury to have.
Yeah, it is. If you can do that, and it was kind of tough at times. And around Secret Society, there was, we just done Stuff in the Dark, and then we went into do even heavier album, I think, Secret Society, and it's like people were wondering what we were doing. They thought Stuff in the Dark was just maybe one-off, but we just continued on this sort of more progressive, darker journey, and it was, I think in the UK, though, they started waking up on Secret Society. They started, wow, these guys are serious. They are really going a different way.
Right.
And now, obviously, we've managed to, in the UK, really gain a lot of respect after all these new albums. So that's cool.
Yeah. What are the misconceptions about Europe? Like, what are you fighting against? Is it the people think of you as the Final Countdown band and don't dig deeper? Like, what are you fighting against from your perspective?
I think we've managed to climb over most of these things now
Okay.
with Walk the Earth and the last 3 albums, and the last 6 albums really. It's just we knew it was going to take time to sort of show that we are a new force rather than the 80s force, and that's quite a big era. It's quite a big stigma. There's something that it takes time, but we sort of knew that it was going to take time to convince people that this is just a good rock band. They're not a typical 80s band. They're moving and twisting and turning and doing great stuff. And so I don't know if they are in the rock community. I don't think there are any big misconceptions, but if you look about it in the broader view, there are still people that maybe know only Final Countdown, and we are very fully aware of this, because in the crossover world and in the pop world, that's a different area, and we don't feel that comfortable there. So when Final Countdown started to cross over, it was kind of a weird thing for us, being musicians and lover of Deep Purple and Zeppelin and rock band. It was kind of difficult, but not difficult, but it was kind of strange for us in a way. But we enjoyed the ride. It was great. We could start touring UK, we started touring US and arena shows, and it was amazing. But it has taken a long time to find the platform that we feel very, very happy with, and it seems like the media and fans are following us and really understanding that this is a completely new band.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows, because it's, Walk the Earth is your 11th album, and, War of Kings was your last album, and they're just good, solid, authentic rock, right? With like prog leanings.
Yeah.
Like it.
Where we want to be, and it feels it's beginning. I think we're beginning to cement that, and that's probably one of the objectives that we were looking for.
A promise on the edge of madness. An oath amongst the world of men.
how about your approach to songwriting? So, Walk the Earth is your 11th album, not counting your solo albums, but you've written a lot of songs, at your age now versus, a 15-year-old just connecting with John Norum. Like, what's your approach to songwriting nowadays? How's it matured?
Oh, I'm so privileged because they caught up with me, the other guys. They're equally good at writing. I mean, I was so interested in writing when I was a kid. So, and the other guys, they were interested in learning the instrument and becoming really good at it, whereas I wanted to put chords together. But these days, I mean, Nick's ideas are amazing. John Norum came up with Hayes and DJO towards the end of our rehearsal. Like, yeah, this is great stuff. John Levin with the Siege riff. We built some John Levin's riff, and me and Nick jamming on Walk the Earth, and then I sort of finished it and built it up. But that was just a jam between me and Nick. We sometimes meet and jam, and I play drums and sing, and he played keyboard, and we jam for like 2 days and like 20 hours, and then we just go through the tapes. And that was one of those ideas that Walk the Earth that we started building on. So yeah, the writing is so different these days, and it's a privilege, Jim, that everybody to work with everybody, and maybe I'll sew it together in the end and put together the melody and the lyrics, and maybe sometimes I put it together in the end. But they have such great ideas that we can build on. It's amazing.
That's awesome. I want to ask, because there's a name that has popped up in your discography over the years once or twice, and he's on the new record as a co-writer, and people might be surprised to see it, is Chris Difford of Squeeze. He also worked on Azalea Place, I believe, with you. How did you connect with him? That's a name that might pique somebody's interest. How'd you guys connect?
Yeah, so a mutual friend. One of my friends is Adam Lamprell. He writes with. He was in two bands. He was in Scissorhand, and he was in Skyscraper, sort of alternative metal band in the 90s. And he's become a very good friend of mine. We worked on some demos, and we write sometimes, and we're just friends. And he knew Chris Difford, and he introduced us, and we met, and we just been friends ever since. And when I want to write something, lyrics that maybe incorporates UK or something like we did Election Day, and I just feel like calling him. He's got rich language, he's got a great expression, so it's just a fun thing. Sometimes I call him up, let's do something together, and I think he was involved with 2 or 3 tracks on Walk the Earth, and he just gives great insight, and he's fun to work with, and it's just refreshing.
That's great. How long did it take to record Walk the Earth? Is it generally recorded live in the studio type of thing?
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks we booked in Abbey Road, and we had 10 songs going in, and we had 10 songs going out, but the songs listed by Dave Colpus. His list was amazing. Arrangement-wise, he went in to co-write a few songs, quite a few songs, and bits and pieces, and had great production technique ideas and 5D ideas. So, yeah, 2 weeks it takes us to record the basic and most of it, and then we do maybe a few fixes and overdubs afterwards. We do 3 or 4 takes of each song, basically, and we pick the best take, and we record everything live, and then we work on that take we like. The one we like the most we work on for the rest of the day, and that's pretty much for that song, and then maybe we go back and fix some things, but yeah, everything is very dynamic and organic, and it happens quite fast.
Well, it's a fantastic album, and I'm glad that you're still making records, and I'm glad that you're focusing on the U.S. How important is focusing on the U.S. for you guys? How important is America?
Well, our management now is based in California, based in America, and we think it's important to start working on our relationship with America. We haven't been there that much, but we realized in the last few albums, Walkings and Walk the Earth has been quite well received and resonate quite well with the rock press in America, and it seems like there's something that to build on, because as you know, and I know, the business in radio and rock radio and everything has changed so much in America. So we want to work with people like you. We want to work in the rock community. We want to build it up again, and it's beginning to brew a little bit again, and we're just going to try to build on it.
Awesome. Well, I'm grateful that you are, and
Okay, great.
I thank you for the years of music, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. Like I said,
All right, no problem. And
long time
hope to
fan.
see you on the road now. All right, thank you. Take care, babe.
Where do I stand? What do I say? What is there left at the end of the day to explain? Again and again, I think of something and I make up my mind. The curtain is closing. I don't really want to be falling behind this time. Running away with the thought that life's gonna change. It's a banquet of life. I count down the hours, the minutes, no matter how hard that I try. I know we all act surprised. There's no running away on election day. Well, I think I know, but then I guess that I don't. How can I make up my mind and still vote and remain in your game? Maybe it's nothing, but it could change my life when the airheads are running away with all the good things I like. Hey, where do I sign? Running away with the thought that life's gonna change. It's a banquet of lies. As they roll out the news, painted in red, then painted in blue. I know we all act surprised. There's no running away on election day. Running away with the thought that life's gonna change. It's a banquet of life. I count down the hours, the minutes, no matter how hard that I try. And then we all act surprised. There's no running away on election day.
Thanks again for listening. You can find what Europe is up to at europetheband.com. You can also find more of our episodes on our website, which is podstodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on TuneIn, on anything. Just Google Pods and Sods Network and you'll find all kinds of goodies. If you do find us on iTunes, please subscribe, leave a rating, a review. If you're on Facebook, like, share, do all that kind of cool stuff. We appreciate it all. So I thank you once again for listening, and I will close with some words of wisdom that I always close with from Mr. Bill Hicks. Thank you.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. Has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace.